Let's bring in Joe McMonigle, the senior energy analyst at Hedgeye Risk Management. Joe, great to talk to you. What was your first reaction when you heard this news, or what do you think is the most interesting thing right now?
Yeah, so I listened to Anne-Marie. She's fantastic with the latest update. I concur with her. I think early reports of a optimistic return to some kind of normal operations at this Saudi facility, I think, were indeed probably over optimistic, and it looks like that we could see this facility being offline for some time, weeks if not months, for final repairs to be made. But I think it's important for everyone to understand, I mean, this is not just Saudi Arabia's biggest oil processing facility, it's the world's biggest oil processing facility. As you pointed out, it's about 5% of the U.S. Or of the Saudi crude production is now offline. And I think, in terms of, this idea that this escalates the proxy war, I think we've gone beyond that now. I mean, this is really the equivalent to a 9/11 type attack on Saudi oil infrastructure. And I think it introduces a new element into the debate. Number one, I think it reawakens geopolitical risk in oil markets that up to this point have really not priced in at all any kind of geopolitical risk. And two, the new element is, what do the Saudis do? Is there some kind of Saudi military response, whether it's U.S. Involvement or not? It seems hard to believe that the Saudis can allow this type of continued attacks on their key oil infrastructure without any kind of response.
Now, I'm looking at a tweet from President Trump. We have reason to believe we know the culprit, and we're locked and loaded, depending on verification. So we're waiting to hear from the kingdom. So it looks as though at this stage the White House is leaving it up to the Saudis to do any finger pointing, at least initially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I would take much away from that tweet, other than that I think the U.S. is, the president's trying to convey that the U.S. is ready to, I think, assist the Saudis militarily. Certainly, the talk over the weekend was that Iran was involved, kind of dismissing the claim that this was a Houthi-only initiative. But today, this morning in Washington, the early reports were that this was maybe from Iranian attack launched from some territory there in Iran or in Iraq. But this morning, I think talk in Washington is now looking at the possibility that this was actually launched from Iran itself, which would put this in a whole different ballpark.
So lock and load refers apparently to readying that Garand M1 rifle that they used in World War II, the famous rifle the U.S. troops had. What do you think Mr. Trump means by that? I mean, does that phrase suggest that he's ready for some kind of military action?
Well, I think he's trying to convey that the U.S. is ready to, assist the Saudis and to keep oil flowing, in the Middle East, and to kind of be a counterforce to what is clearly, an act of aggression from Iran, or at the very least Iran's proxies. We'll have to wait and see the outcome on that.
Presumably the market now waiting for more from the Saudis, from Saudi Aramco, on how long it'll take actually to get production up and running again.
Yeah, I mean, look, if there's anyone that can get this thing fixed as quickly as possible, it's Aramco. But I just don't think there's so many more unanswered questions right now. The extent of the damage, we don't really know that yet. We haven't really gotten much of an update yet from the Saudis on that. I understand that the new Saudi oil minister is in Upquake now and is touring the damage. I'm sure the U.S. is also involved in the investigation and cooperating and providing assistance. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't know the extent of the damage, how long it will be offline. this is a significant amount of oil. There's no question about it. It's hard to ignore this type of a development. And two, what's next? What is the Saudi response to what looks like an act of aggression, an act of war, if you will, from Iran?
We've only about 30 seconds. Is Mr. Trump reluctant to go after Iran in a military sense? I'm just thinking about the departure of John Bolton, the famous hawk from the White House.
Yeah, no, I mean, this would be probably a good time to have Bolton there to reinforce U.S. resolve. But look, Trump, has been an Iran critic from the beginning. I do think, maybe this is the Iranians testing Trump in the wake of Bolton's departure. But as we pointed out in June, the U.S. has this maximum pressure policy on Iran with renewed sanctions. Iran's response is maximum chaos. They want to try to create some, tanker attacks, military attacks on oil infrastructure, because they don't think Trump wants a military confrontation or war. And they think that brings him to the table. They also, by the way, think higher oil prices hurts Trump politically. And so, again, it's another incentive to try to get him to ease sanctions and come to the table and negotiate. And hopefully that's how Iran sees themselves getting out of it. And, of course, that raises geopolitical risk tremendously.
Joe, thanks very much. Joe McMonigle, Senior Energy Analyst at Hedgeye Risk Management.